Welcome to another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight, as well as the Black Wealth Experience. A couple of things, and I'm excited about today's show because a lot of times what we end up talking about, or one of the fears that people have, is what if something goes wrong? Because if you're renting, right, if something goes wrong with your heating, or something goes wrong with your cooling, or something goes wrong with your plumbing, or something goes wrong, with anything in the home, that the apartment or the house that you're renting, it's usually up to the landlord to pay for that. And one of the things that people seem to be really afraid of when they think about home buying, or they think about, is that expense that they can incur if something goes wrong. And then they're wondering, well, if I got my payment, how am I going to afford it? Well, one of the things I just want to make sure that you're aware of is whether you're in an apartment, whether you're in a home, whether you're in a townhome, whether you own it, whether you're renting it, if something goes wrong in some way, you're going to pay for it. It could be the landlord goes and they pay for it up front, and then they increase your rent at the end of the year. Most of the time, repairs are built into they're built into the cost of your rent. So if their payment, let's say, is $1,500 a month for the mortgage on the place that you're renting, and they're charging you $2,200 a month, and then so that's like $700 a month that they have built in, that allows them. So over 10 months, that's $7,000. So if a furnace costs $5,000, then they're still coming out ahead $2,000 just by charging that an extra amount of money. And so one of the things that people fear is, well, how am I going to find the right person? How am I going to make sure that nobody's going to cheat me or nobody's going to take advantage of me? When I just did a podcast on the Deerfield Fund, they talked about wraparound services and making sure that they have a book or a guide of people that you can trust. Well, today I have James on the show today, and James is from PCM Heating and Cooling. He is a person who goes to homeowner, and sometimes he does apartment complex. He does it all and make sure that happens. And I wanted him to kind of talk about what happens and what are some of the things that can happen to your heating or to your cooling that would stop you from being able to, or maybe alleviate the fear, I guess is what I'm trying to say, of, hey, it's not so bad if I just have to have somebody come and do something. So James, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for being part of this podcast. And if you could just start out with just telling people how they get a hold of you, that would be great.
Yes, you can get a hold of us anytime. PCM Heating and Cooling, 303-359-6512. And if you can't get a hold of us at the time, just leave a message and we can take care of you.
Perfect. And what kind of services is it that you do?
I'll do everything from maintenance, cleaning tunes, ACs, furnaces, installs, pretty much it, doing the install of them to doing the maintenance on them, to changing filters, to cleaning them, to cleaning flame sensors and running diagnostics on them to make sure they're running good for the customer and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Do you work on fireplaces
No,
as well?
we just do more HVAC.
Okay.
Furnaces and ACs and stuff like that, and we do duct work and things like that. We might install duct work for some customers. Might need to add on for some other rooms in their house or something that they're building other rooms in their house or remodeling or things like that.
And how, just maybe kind of give us an idea of how you got started in this. What did you work as a journeyman apprentice or something at one point, or did you go to school? What did you do to get going in this business?
Well, I was a little younger. I used to be a tree trimmer. I trimmed trees for Asplin for public service around power lines, and me and one of my friends were sitting around talking one day and like, we got to do something different and we want to be a little better, get a little older. So I just start calling around and I wanted to do HVAC. So I called a company called Frontier Mechanical in 1996, and they hired me, and I started working for them, and I worked off and on for 15 years for them. and stuff. And then things got bad when the recession hit, and I went out on my own. And that's kind of how it's just been there, since 2011. I've been on my own,
Oh,
doing my
wow.
own thing.
That is so cool. So when we think about heating and cooling, I mean that's your AC and your heating in the winter. And here in the Denver metro area, we you definitely need heating in the winter, right? And so, what are some of the things that can go wrong with a heating unit? Some of the things that would that I should watch out for if I have one in my home. What are some of those things that I need to keep an eye on?
Well, if you get that furnace maintenance, get a clean and tune. It's not that expensive to get done, and you get them filters changed, get it cleaned, get them flame sensors. The flame sensor has a lot to do with that. Your furnace short cycling or not working properly. So that is a lot, and especially if you don't change your filter, you need to change that filter every 2 to 3 months. And
Oh, really? That often?
that often,
Okay.
yes. It's just like changing the oil in your car. You want that car to run right, so you want your furnace to run right. So
Gotcha. Well, and filters aren't that expensive, right? I mean, when you think of the overall maintenance of things that you need to do in your home, and I know like for folks who have been renting that are, have never had to do that, what kind of expense does it incur to get a filter switched and cleaned every 3 or 4 months?
well, the filters are very reasonable. You can, if the customer wanted to, just change the filter themselves, they can go to Home Depot and they can get 3 for like $12. And you don't need a expensive filter. You just want something to kind of just block the big parts, the big dust, the big dirt. Because when
Okay.
they come to, those real good filters clog too fast. So
Okay. So basically, what's happening is you have all these intakes in your house that are intaking the air, and then they capture bigger particles into the filter, and then that filter ends up getting clogged up over time, and then your heater doesn't work efficiently or it doesn't work as well as it should. And that's with the air conditioner as well, right? It's the
yes,
same filter
yes.
for the heating and the air
It's
conditioning.
all about airflow. When it comes to furnaces and AC, it's about airflow. If the airflow is not right, it won't operate right. It's not efficient at all. So,
Gotcha.
that's
And
kind
so,
of,
what are some of the? So you said one of the common things is this air, or would you say the
flame
furnace
sensor.
flame
Yes.
sensor? Okay, so that just keeps most of all the heating units are gas. I'm assuming
Yes.
natural gas.
Yes. Most are gas, and most of them that flame sensor. It is what it sounds. It senses the flame and it sends a negative charge to the board. So if it doesn't send that charge, it's not going to work. So it needs to be cleaned at least once a year,
Oh, okay,
and then sometime replaced. Sometime it gets scratched when you're cleaning it and stuff, and it gouges, so it needs to be replaced. So, but it's not that expensive to get done. So that's how you keep on top of that furnace and
okay,
AC, is that flame
gotcha.
sensor and that filter.
Gotcha. Now on the AC, which is the whole other, from what I understand, especially like centralized air, is running through the same unit, or there's something in the furnace unit that is all part of that pushes the air out into the house, but then there's a condenser and that kind of stuff that sits outside. Does that get ruined by just being in the weather, or is there something I need to do with the outside portion on my AC, or how does that work?
Yes, you need, on the outside unit, it needs to be cleaned. You can clean that with a hose, but you have to be careful. If it's too dirty and you too much pressure, you can bend the fin, so that can cause you more problems. So, I don't know, some customers feel comfortable do it themselves, and then some just don't feel comfortable all doing it. So they have me to clean it and check the pressures and all that stuff like that and make sure everything's everything's good. So, but it needs to be clean so it can breathe too.
Gotcha. So I know there's a like a coolant or something that you put that goes inside of it that I guess the air brushes against the air, or kills down, and then air flows over it and then makes the air cool. Um,
Yes.
how often does that have to be like recharged or more put in, or if, unless you have leaks or something? What is the standard on how long your air condition should work before you're actually having to do, add that kind of stuff to it?
Well, you shouldn't have to really add unless you have some sort of leak or something like that, or it's just running hot, running hard, running, if it's not efficient, every now and then, maybe you're here and there, 10 years down the road, you might have to add a little bit to it, but it shouldn't be often if there's not a leak.
Gotcha. What would cause a leak to get into it? Just something hitting, or just a faulty screw or nut or something like that? Or
It could be that, or it could be the installer didn't solder it right and pressure test it and make sure, and you could have a small leak in the system. So say you got it installed and a year later you have to charge it again, you've definitely got a little small leak somewhere. So that you'd have to kind of, make sure, get that leak fixed. So you don't have to get that thing charged every year.
Yeah, if you're doing it every year, then you're throwing away money, right? Because
a lot of money.
You get it fixed.
Yeah.
And knowing it's done. So it should maybe go 4 or 5 years maybe and never need to be charged, or
usually longer than that if you take care of it. I mean, it could be up to 10 years that might not need a charge. It's just how you take care of your unit.
Gotcha.
Clean. That's your friend, keeping it clein.
Keeping it clean. Okay.
Keeping it clean.
And so for the outside unit, once a year at the beginning of the summer or something, and then the filters on the heater and every 3 months.
Yes.
What other things should I do as an owner to make sure that those things are running real properly? Is that pretty much it, or is it just more stuff I got?
Well, what I would do personally, your outside unit, it really gets beat by the weather. You can go to the Home Depot and buy a cover for that unit, and when you're not using it in the wintertime, cover it.
Oh, okay.
And that keeps all that dirt and debris and all that stuff from getting in that unit. Take it off, and then it's clean. But you got to make sure you take it off before you start it that next year, because it will hurt the unit leaving that on there trying to run it. So you just got to make sure you take that cover off.
Okay. Well, that's a really good idea. I never even thought about that, to have a cover.
And covers are cheap, and it's a good way to go.
It's a great way to go.
Yeah, keep the leaves.
Yeah, so cover might cost you $15-20, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And that probably lasts you 5 years, and then you're paying your $12, for filters every 3 months. Or you said 3 filters, so that would take that'd be almost,
that would be almost. That would be, if you did it every couple months, that would be 6 months. If you did every 3 months, that would be 9 months.
Okay, gotcha. So you're looking at $3 a month or whatever. So for less than $30, your whole year, almost 2 years is taken care of, as long as you make sure you change it. Now, is there like a really good way to gauge? Like, do you write it on a calendar? I know, like on the filters I do for my refrigerator, I usually write on the canister and then put it in the refrigerator. The problem is I have to remember to go look at where I put the date.
Yes. A good thing to do too, maybe have you a little notepad and put on your unit when you change it, when it needs to be changed.
Okay.
And just have it there, so when you walk down there and look, And the arrow, the filters do have an arrow pointing. So it always goes towards the furnace, the arrow on the filter, always.
Not towards the outside, but towards the inside.
Towards the furnace. Okay. Always was pulling the air to the furnace.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha, because I know more sideways.
Yep. So if it's sideways, you put that arrow where it's going, pointing to the furnace.
Okay.
If it's in a box, we have it pointing up, so it's going up in the furnace. So that arrow, it's there for a purpose.
Okay. Well, that is so good to know. Now, like what I'm thinking, like homeowners that are worried about, okay, now I own my home and this is going to cost me, what would be, a cost if you just had one that's in your house and you had to, your plunk coming out? Is that something that insurance ever takes care of, or is it you just have to have that saved up?
You need to save that up. I mean, insurance. If you're saying if your furnace does go out, you need to just throw a little money to the side and stuff. It just depends on the company. There's a lot of companies in Colorado. It could be $5,000 for a furnace, $4,500, or it could be some of the companies, they charge $10,000.
Oh wow.
For a furnace, $12,000. I've heard of customers told me somebody, that companies wanted $12,000 to replace a furnace and stuff like that or more. So it just depends. You got to shop around. You got to make sure. You got to make sure that people have good ratings, that are just not coming in hacking up your home, and the customers are happy with that company. So ratings are important.
Gotcha.
For a company.
Okay. And then the same thing on the condenser, the thing that's outside,
yes.
that could cost you, $5, $10, $15,000 if it goes all the way
It could
out.
anywhere, I've watched shows where they had companies on there, and it's a full system. They've had them on there from $15,000 to $40,000 for a full system. You can buy a car for that.
Yeah.
So
no, that wouldn't be said. You've never charged anybody $40,000.
No. We're a little small, and the overhead is not as bad as like these bigger companies. So not putting anybody down, but we can do them a lot more reasonable, a lot cheaper. And then we use a American Standard, which is Train, or we use Ream. Is the products I like to use, top of the line, that last the customers for years,
Gotcha.
So
this isn't something somebody should be scared of, right? If it goes out, call you, you come in there, you work out something to just make sure they're taken care of. Obviously, if it's in the middle of the winter, you don't want them to freeze to death.
That's right. Yeah. It's, I like to get in there, take care of the customer, give them a little knowledge on what they, tell them, what they need to do, how to do it, give them that knowledge, on the system. It's once you keep it clean, it's not that hard. It runs better. It's just efficient. It's just way better to keep it clean and keep everything running well. It's a lot better.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it get full of dirt and crap and all this, and then you turn around, you forget about it, and next thing you know, you're having problems. Dirt is the main killer for HVAC.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, and that's in the whole system that goes around.
Yes.
Now let's say, so now, I've got my first home, I'm working through. Are you somebody, if I decide to get an investment home, that can kind of do the same thing, and I keep you on my speed dial, and you go to my units and you help fix them, and
you got it.
Make sure that they're cleaned and maintained, and like you said, it's things that I could go do myself on some of the cleaning, but if I really want to maintain a system, it might be, I do 1 year and have you maybe come every other year, just to make sure that it's all done correctly.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Yep. If the customer feels comfortable and he wants to save a couple of dollars, clean it up 1 year, and then I can come in the following year and check and make sure everything's running good and you don't have any noises. Your blower motor is not having a bearing noise, or your inducer motor doesn't have bearing noises and stuff like that. Make sure everything's running smooth. So,
gotcha. Now I know also when if you're doing like a refinance, or you're selling a home or something like that, and then an inspector comes out and he might say that there's issues with it. FHA says this is the certain things that need to be done. It's a great idea probably just to call you when those things happen, when FHA is saying this needs to be fixed, or the wire's not connected, or that kind of stuff, and you can get out there and really work on, some of those things to fix those problems.
Yes.
It shouldn't be something people are trying to hide again, right? Yes. I know, people are always trying to cut corners and that kind of stuff, but you really don't want to cut corners when it's your heating.
Yes, yeah. And actually, if you're going to sell your home or something like that, it's probably smarter to, before you get all that, is to, especially if you have an older furnace, is to get it checked or get it replaced before you get that inspector in there and stuff like that. So, it's, if you're having problems, it makes your house worth a little bit more money to have new, and people want that big ticket item fixed. That's going to make your house sell a lot faster, is to have that. Yeah. So that's what that's what I would do when I sell my home. I make sure everything is running well, and my water heater's not old and leaking and stuff like that, and my furnace is running well, and my condensers, compressors working well and clean and stuff like that. Pressures are good. So.
Can I call you for water heating too, or is that's the plumber that I got to call, or how does that work?
What? The plumbers do water heaters, but I do also do water heaters and stuff too. So,
okay.
But I get a lot. I do a lot of water heaters for my customers and stuff too. So also, we do the Bradford Whites,
Okay.
which is a good product. What you need. So you always want to get a good product.
Gotcha. They last longer, and you don't have to have the
There you
repairs,
go.
maintenance, and that kind of stuff. So it's worth paying. What you're saying, it's worth paying a little bit of extra money right now than it is piecemealing it together 5 or 6 years later when stuff is falling apart and not
Yes.
working. How long should a water heater last before you change it?
A water heater, you should at least get 10 years out of a water heater, at least.
Gotcha.
You
So
know,
when you walk into a house and they've had a water heater there for 20 years, it's
Yeah.
like you should have replaced this, did you?
yeah, and then sometimes they start seeing a little water that's pulling around your water heater and stuff like that. It could be leaking, and then all of a sudden it blows out on you.
Mhm.
So yeah, you get it 20 years old, 18, 20 years old, it'd probably be best to try to get it fixed, before,
Mhm.
if the customer has, the money to get it done, it's better to get that stuff done before you bring all the people in there, the inspectors and the people to look at the homes and stuff like that. It's better to get it done right off the bat if you have it.
Okay.
So
So what's the maybe or I'm hearing that like tankless water heaters are the way to go because they're going to save you. Kind of explain how that works or why it may be better than a regular full tank water heater. What's the I guess the carrot that's dangling or the shiny thing that
yeah,
they say it's so much better.
well, I don't know. I don't know for a fact if the tankless is better than a regular water heater because you have to get them. Um, you have to get the calcium. You have to get them flushed. You're supposed to every year
Okay.
and get that calcium out of them and stuff. And you got to make sure you got that tankless that can keep up with your family. You can keep up with the baths and the washing dishes and whatever you do that you need hot water. It has to be able to keep up with that. A lot of these water heaters that are in the tanks, they're really efficient these days, and
Mhm.
they're a lot cheaper. So I mean, a lot cheaper than doing a tankless. So it goes both ways. It's a tankless is good for space, and they do work good, but they can be pricey. Just
Yeah, gotcha. So I think the last part of this is just, and some people think that like if you have solar, it somehow heats your water up, and I think all the solar does is make sure that your electricity is all taken care of so that everything else works. Is that correct? Am I wrong? And
That's correct.
the solar is not actually going to heat your house up, right?
No, the solar is just gonna take the electric. It's just gonna help you on your electric bill. If
Okay.
you rent the solar, if you rent that from or lease it from somebody, you have to pay so much a month and they knock so much off. Or if you buy it, you sell your electric back to the
Okay.
company. So
Gotcha.
yeah, and then if on the AC part of it, if you get a higher SEER, if you get a 13 SEER, which they're going to stop making um, here soon, they're going to go to 14.5 SEER is more effective on your electric. It saves you electric. The bigger the SEER, the more it saves you on electricity, but it costs you
Okay.
more money to get it put in because the unit costs more.
Costs more, but it saves you in the
It
long
saves
run
you in the
on
long
on
run.
your
So,
electrical bill and that kind of stuff. But a really good thing to consider. James, we're kind of towards the end of our time here, but I want you to tell everybody how to get a hold of you one more time. And then after that, if you just kind of give some parting thoughts about why it's important or, what you get to do and how you can help people. And, just some last final thoughts would be amazing.
okay, well, you can get a hold of us. Like I said, we have a website. It's procaremaintenancellc.com. You can go in there and look. You can go on Google. You can look at our ratings, the 5-star ratings, and kind of read about us, see what the people say. You can reach it. The phone number is 303-359-6512. You can call or text, email, any of those things. And like I said, you can always keep those units clean and covered in the winter and just things like that. Just little small things that will save you a lot of money in the end. So that's kind of pretty much it. Just take care of your things and they'll take care of you.
They'll take care of you. I
That's
love it.
right.
Well, Yeah, I absolutely thank you for being on. I think this is an important conversation to have. It's something that people fear, and they shouldn't fear it because they just don't know. It's an unknown thing, and just those few little maintenance tips that you taught us. And one of the things I like to say at the end of all of these shows is, one thing is you can do this. So, even though you've been living at an apartment or living in a rental and somebody else has been taking care of this stuff, this isn't so hard that you can't take care of it yourself. So you can do this. You deserve this. You deserve to have your home. And the other thing is let us help you. So if you don't understand something, you can call James's number. You pick up the phone and say 303-359-6512 and say, James, this thing's making some funny noises. I don't understand it. I don't want it to fall apart. And he most likely, if he's been doing it all these years, he could probably tell you over the phone on some of it. And some of he's going to have to say, you know what? I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to come look at it. But it's so worth getting it taken care of at the beginning and not wait until it all falls apart. That's what's going to cost you. That's what it costs you when you have the dirt in there and you don't do the maintenance and you don't do everything. That's where stuff gets so expensive. And yes, for what all of those repairs and things that you may need to do in your house, it should be a little bit of money that you're saving, aside to the side. So when those things do come up, you can go ahead and take care of them. I know some of us love to use credit cards for all that kind of stuff, which is not a bad way to go if you don't use it a whole bunch of other times, because then you know that you can get stuff done. But if you just put a little bit of money aside every single month, pay your $30 a year on your maintenance stuff, then it will take care of you as much as you're taking care of it, just like James said. So, James, thank you again for being on and coming on. We'd love to have you, back again after something changes in our industry or different things that need to be done. But it is so nice to see that you're here, you're in the community, and you can be able to take care of others. So, again, thank you, and we will look forward to talking to everybody.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. This is Brian Arnold, and if you are listening to this part, you've just watched one of our episodes of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight, where we've just talked to one of the best of the best. And I want to thank whichever guest that was here. They are phenomenal. They are amazing. They are the top of the top, the best of the best that are in our industry that are here with us today. And so I encourage you to please call them, pick their brains. They work for you. They enjoy working for you. They are incredibly good at it. And so I want to make sure that you give them a call. So whoever you listen to, whichever one you saw that you were there, please do that. The other thing is everyone deserves a home. Everyone deserves a home. I say that at the end of my show. You deserve it. Let us help you do it. My goal is to make sure that we see homeownership. It just sickens me to see apartment complexes continue to go up, because I know those are people who haven't been able to make the call or figure out a plan. So let us help put that plan together for you. I have some websites that allow you to do that, and I'll put those in the bottom, but please do. I am a lender. I do work in the lending space. If you do not already have somebody who's pre-qualified you, I would love to be able to have that opportunity to earn your business and qualify you. My number is 720-682-2223. That's 720-682-2223. Give me a call anytime, and I would love to be able to help you with that. We also do living trust. And so when we think about an estate, to try to avoid probate and make sure that doesn't happen. So whether it's you, if you own a home, and you should have a living trust. And I will say that everyone not just deserves it, everyone needs a living trust if they own a home. And then finally, just wanted to thank you for watching these episodes. And so please tune into more. Would love for you to see and be able to shop around. So thank you for doing that. Again, I want to make sure that you know that you can do this. You deserve this. And let us help you make it happen. You guys have an awesome, wonderful, awestruck, incredible day today.